Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Now that we have covered tuberculosis, today we'll be going over leprosy. It is caused by as you know, the same genus of bacilli, that is Mycobacterium. This is Mycobacterium leprae, right? We have studied about this in microbiology. Okay, so this bacilli causes leprosy. Now leprosy is in a the disease as a public health problem is in a much better state than tuberculosis in India, but still the national program is going on. So this is why this disease is taught mainly as to see what examination or what cases can you find if you do active case searching, okay, and how to tackle or how to manage a case if such a case is encountered in the community, because this case is still happening. The new case occurrence has lowered. Okay, so the disease has been eliminated per se because the incidence has been lowered, but the prevalence is still there. The prevalence is high. Okay, so and there are many leprosy and hospitals and people live there. Okay, so this is why this is subject has been taught under public health now. Okay, so about the disease, I think you all already know that it affects mainly the nerves, mainly the peripheral nerves, and it affects the other organs also. Okay, you can see manifestations on the skin, the muscles. Okay, deformities can occur, eyes, bones, testes, and internal organs. Okay, mainly it affects the peripheral nerves, but it can other uh, affect other organs as well. So, what are the disease forms? Okay, there are many classification, but we will look at the Indian classification. That is, there are two polar forms. That is, the leprosy disease happens on a spectrum. It manifests differently in different patients depending on the host factors. And there are two extreme forms, namely the lepromatous leprosy and the tuberculous leprosy, right? Lepromatous leprosy and tubercular leprosy with borderline form in between. So this is the Indian classification, and there can be also indeterminate type and pure neuritic type as well among those classification. It is caused by Mycobacterium leprae. Okay, so now in different patients this disease manifests differently. So not everyone will present with all the features, all the pathognomic features. So what are the signs and symptoms usually? They are hypopigmented patches. Okay, means the pigmentation formed on the skin. Okay, it lightens the skin color in that lesion. So that is a hypopigmented patches. There might be loss of sensation as well. So partial or total loss of cutaneous sensation in the affected areas, and the earliest sensation to be affected is light touch. Okay, so the sensation, cutaneous sensation is affected. Presence of thickened nerves because it affects the nerves, and presence of acid-fast bacilli in the skin or the nasal smears. These are the characteristics of the disease. Okay, these hypopigmented lesions, then loss of cutaneous sensation, thickening of the nerves, and seeing of the acid-fast bacilli in the microscope from the smears. Okay, and what does advanced disease cause? Nodules can be present, lumps can be present in the skin, face, ears. Okay, then plantar ulcers, loss of fingers or toes, nasal depression, foot drop, etc. So claw toes and other deformities, mainly the extreme disease of the nerves, the skin, etc. Right, this is the Ridley and the Joplin classification. Is a classification of the leprosy disease. Usually what happens is, not everyone who is exposed to the Mycobacterium leprae will develop the disease. Firstly, less than 5% will develop the actual disease. So what happens is, first if the patient is exposed to the Mycobacterium leprae, then what happens, 95% will have no disease. 95% will have no disease, And within 2 to 4 years, what happens? Indeterminate leprosy. That is, leprosy cannot be confirmed or determined. Okay, that is single ill-defined hypopigmented skin lesion. Only a skin lesion is there in 5% people. Among them, that also is 75% people, the infection is resolved in them. Okay, it is resolved after just a hypopigmented lesion. But the rest 25% patient develops the disease further. So they entered the clinical spectrum. So there is tuberculoid pole and the lepromatous pole. That is the spectrum of the disease is there. The patient can be having the lepromatous leprosy, pure lepromatous type, or they can be having the tuberculoid type of leprosy. And there is a whole range of borderline manifestations between the two. Okay, lepromatous pole is there and tuberculoid pole is there. Why there are different diseases manifestations and there is on a spectrum is because it depends on the patient's immune reaction or the immunity status. What happens if the person is having the high immune status, that is their immune system is good, okay, then they are more likely to develop this tuberculoid type. If the immune system is not good or immune system is depressed, then they are most likely to have the lepromatous pole. So as you can see, if there is decreasing cell mediating immunity, the patient is more prone to developing the lepromatous leprosy. Between them there is a B team, is borderline tuberculoid, borderline and borderline lepromatous. Okay, so it all depends on the cell mediated immunity of the patient. Okay, so this is the classification of Ridley and Joplin. The tuberculoid pole and the lepromatous pole, and before that there is a indeterminate type as well, and there is another form called pure neuritic type where only the nerves are affected and there is no hypopigmented lesions. Okay, so that is the classification of leprosy disease. Now as you can see, the tuberculoid leprosy, usually there is this hypopigmented lesion on the skin, okay, or a single lesion. And in lepromatous leprosy, what happens? There are multiple nodule-like structures on the skin. Okay, it affects the face, it affects the limbs, etc. So there are multiple nodules in the lepromatous type, and in the tubercular type, there is usually not many nodules or not many lesions. Just small hypopigmented lesions are there. So that is the tubercular leprosy and lepromatous leprosy. The manifestations look different. Now what is the agent? Mycobacterium leprae. Is it acid fast bacilli and usually present in wild animals like armadillos, mangabe monkeys and chimpanzees. They are found originally there. They occur in the human host both intracellularly and extracellularly, and they are occurring in clumps. Okay, called globi. They are occurring in clumps under the microscope. And they have very much affinity to the Schwann cells, that are the sheaths around the peripheral nerves, right? So affinity for Schwann cells and cells of the reticuloendothelial system, and usually they remain dormant there, or they may cause the disease or later cause relapse. Okay, the bacterial load is highest in the lepromatous cases. Now in the lepromatous end of the spectrum, the bacterial load is high, and the tubercular end of the spectrum, the bacterial load is low. So the lepromatous form are also called the multibacillary leprosy, and the tubercular form are also called the paucibacillary leprosy. Okay, the lepromatous are the multibacillary leprosy and tubercular are the paucibacillary leprosy usually. As many as 2 to 7 billion are estimated in 1 gram of leproma in the lepromatous cases. So multibacillary cases, that is lepromatous and borderline lepromatous, are the most important source of infection, and it must be considered that all patients with active leprosy must be considered infectious. Now the current view is anyone who has leprosy are infectious, but before the criteria was whoever having lepromatous type of leprosy with the main infectious source. From them the infection can spread to other person. So what are the major portal of exit? That is, what is the mode of spread of infection? That is nasal mucosa. From the nasal mucosa, shedding can happen and the infection can spread. Ulcerated or broken skin of the bacteriologically positive case of leprosy. So from the skin and from the shedding of the nasal mucosa. This is the mode of transmission of the bacilli. Okay, from the ulcerated part of the skin or the nasal mucosa. Leprosy is a highly infectious disease but of low pathogenicity. Okay, it is not that much severe that it will kill a person at once, right? Attack rate among household contacts of lepromatous cases from 4 to 12% expected to show signs of leprosy within 5 years. So, if the case is very infectious, leprosy is very infectious, but they're not that much virulent, or they do not kill people instantly. They do not have a high fatality rate. Okay, but it can be affected very easily. It is a high chance of contraction from the infected cases. So, any case that is been considered active leprosy, they are considered now infectious, irrespective of they are lepromatous or tuberculoid. Now, the current criteria. So what about the host? We have, for the disease epidemiological triad, we have read about the agent, now about the host. Who is the host here? The humans. So incidence rates generally rise to a peak of 20 to 30 years of age. Okay, it is seen mainly between 20 to 30 years of age. A high prevalence among children means that the disease is active and spreading. Now, if in a community you see that children are having leprosy, then that means the disease is active in the community and it is very much infectious. Otherwise, leprosy cases are usually seen in ages between 20 to 30. So, mode of transmission, aerosols containing Mycobacterium leprae, it is droplet infection from the nasal mucosa, and the person to person contact by close contact between infectious person and a healthy but susceptible person. That is from an ulcerated skin, broken skin, the person can contract the infection directly, or they may contract indirectly as well. That is contact with soil and fomites such as contaminated clothes and linen. So from indirect contact also the disease can spread. Okay. And what about the environment? Which environment favors leprosy? There is evidence that humidity favors the survival of Mycobacterium leprae in the environment. So first factor is humidity. Then Mycobacterium leprae can remain viable in dry nasal secretion for at least 9 days and in moist soil at room temperature for 46 days. So anything that is contaminated with Mycobacterium leprae can stay in the nasal mucosa up to 9 days and in the environment for up to 45-46 days. And overcrowding and lack of ventilation within the households can also enhance the spread of this Mycobacterium leprae. So what is the incubation period? Then how much time does it take to develop the signs and symptoms after infection? Leprosy has a long incubation period. It takes 3 to 5 years, at least 5 years to develop the infection. If a person has been infected, then to show signs and symptoms, it takes at least 3 to 5 years. So it is a long incubation period and it may sometimes also take up to 20 years for the signs and symptoms to show. So you cannot tell quickly that who has been infected by the Mycobacterium leprosy. Then paucibacillary and multibacillary leprosy. This is a difference that comes sometimes. So as I said, paucibacillary means less number of bacilli, multibacillary means more number of bacilli. So less number of bacilli is seen in the tuberculoid type where the cell mediated immunity is high, and the multibacillary leprosy is seen when the cell mediated immunity is low. So the bacillus load is high. So when the specific CMI means cell mediated immunity, is effective in the elimination or controlling the infection, lesions heal spontaneously and cause paucibacillary leprosy. If CMI is deficient, then the disease spreads uncontrolled and produces multibacillary leprosy with multiple system involvement. So the spread in the body also remains more in the multibacillary leprosy than the paucibacillary leprosy. So in the paucibacillary leprosy, usually there are maximum 5 lesions that are there. Peripheral nerve, usually no nerves are involved, maximum 1 nerve can be involved, and skin smear is negative and also, that is, it has not spread to the skin yet. But in multibacillary leprosy, what happens is 6 and above skin lesions, that is nodules as you can see. Then peripheral nerve, more than one nerve involvement, and it also affects the skin, that is positive at any one site. Okay, so this is a difference, a manifestation between the paucibacillary and the multibacillary leprosy. So in the paucibacillary, due to the cell-mediated immunity remaining good and effective, so that what happened is the infection is controlled at an earlier stage. But if the infection is not controlled by the cell-mediated immunity, then it spreads to the skin, till the skin. So it can be positive in a skin smear. Diagnosis is again one of those factors. First is the hypopigmented or reddish skin lesion with definite sensory deficit. Skin lesion with sensory deficit should be there, or the involvement of peripheral nerves. How to determine whether the peripheral nerves are involved? That is, there are definite thickening with loss of sensation and weakness or paralysis of the corresponding muscles. There is a nerve thickening and corresponding muscles and other functions are disabled. Okay, the functions are not there. Or the demonstration of Mycobacterium leprae in the lesion. So any one of the three criteria should be positive to diagnose a case as leprosy. Either there should be hypopigmented lesions or reddish lesions with less sensation, less cutaneous sensation, or there should be involvement of a nerve, that is a nerve which is thickened and is and the muscles corresponding to it are getting affected, okay, like hands, feet and eyes, or there is you can see the Mycobacterium leprae in the smear, bacteriological confirmation. So the first two cardinal signs can be identified by clinical examination alone, while the third can be identified by examination of the slit skin smear. This is the examination name, the slit skin smear examination under microscopy. So clinical examination, how to determine by clinical examination that the leprosy is present? Take a good case history, that whether sensation has gone, okay, when did the lesion start happening, okay, how many lesions are there, what started happening, is there any loss of sensation, is there any loss of bodily function, okay, of any particular area of the body. Then physical examination, testing the sensation over skin by using a light ballpoint pen over the lesions. First over the normal skin and then over the affected part, that is a lesion. Okay, you then test how much the sensation has decreased. And nerve examination, palpation of the nerves for thickening, tenderness and consistency, and assessment of that nerve function, both sensory and motor. Okay, so you do these examinations. And site of nerve involvement, which nerves can be involved? Facial nerve, median nerve, ulnar, radial, posterior tibial, lateral popliteal or common peroneal nerve. Okay, so from the eyes, the hands, the feet, the face, everything, anything can be affected, any nerve can be affected, any peripheral nerve. Now the bacteriological examination. So how do you do the bacteriological examination? One is a slit skin smear, right? Skin smears are used and obtained by the slit and scrape method. You take a pinch of the skin and then slit and scrape the skin lesion and then put it under the microscope. Nasal smears can be best prepared from early morning mucous material as well, and nasal scrapings can be there, an alternative to use a nasal mucosal scraper. So nasal mucosal scraper, nasal mucosal lining can be tested, or you take a slit skin smear and you put them under the microscope under oil immersion field and you see the acid-fast bacilli. So acid-fast bacilli, what is there is, you then count the number of bacilli and determine the bacteriological index, BI. The bacterial index is the only objective way of monitoring the benefit of treatment or density of the leprosy bacilli. That is, not during diagnosis also, during the follow-up, during treatment, you can ascertain and see whether the bacterial load has increased or decreased. So this is the monitoring the benefit of the treatment or density of the leprosy bacilli. So it ranges from 0 to 6. This is the classification. Now there is 0, 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus, 6 plus, like this. The bacterial index is classified according to this. So it ranges from 0 in 100 oil immersion fields, then 1 to 10 in 100, 1 to 10 in 10, 1 to 10 in 1, and then 10 to 100 in each oil immersion field, 100 to 1000 each oil immersion field, and more than 1000. So it is like this. Okay, from 0 to 6 plus, the classification of this bacterial index is there. And how to then classify the patient? You take the average of the bacterial index in each site where the sample is taken. Okay, it can be from the right ear, back, left ear, chin, okay, from the lobule of the ear. From there, you take the slit skin smear, wherever you have taken the sample, you then do an average and find the final bacterial index. So, you do not take only from one site, you take from multiple sites and then divide it by the number of sites taken and you find the overall bacterial index. So, this is the load of the virus in the body. Bacterial index is to determine the load of the viral in the body, and thereafter at each follow up of treatment you see whether the load has decreased or increased. And there is another thing called morphological index. This is not as important, it is just to see how many solid bacilli are there in the oil immersion field. Now, what are some other tests? There is a foot pad culture, there is a histamine test, there is a biopsy, and there are immunological test. Okay. Now, immunological test, mainly which is most well known is a lepromine test. Okay, this is a lepromine test and it is usually a prognostic importance, that whether the person will recover or not, whether the person will get well or not, that is prognostic importance is given by this lepromine test and not usually a diagnostic importance. Okay. Immunological test, lepromine test is there, then is a lymphocyte transformation test, leukocyte migration inhibition test, and for the humoral antibodies is a fluorescent leprosy antibody absorption test and monoclonal antibody and ELISA. It is for the humoral immunity, but usually cell mediated immunity matters the most in leprosy, so that is why the lepromine test is very important. So it is lepromine test, usually it is used for the prognostic importance. So it was discovered by Mitsuda and it demonstrates the delayed hypersensitivity reaction against the lepra antigen. Okay, delayed hypersensitivity reaction. That is if the body has this Mycobacterium leprae, then the body reacts against it according to the cell mediated immunity and it produces different lesions. So that is how it is tested. So it indicates an intact host cell mediated immunity, whether the cell mediated immunity is good or not in the host. However, it is not used for diagnosis, but classifying the lesions of leprosy also used as a prognostic indicator. Now what is done? Lepromine antigen is injected intradermally to the forearm and reading is taken at 2 occasions. Intradermally, the lepromine antigen, that is what is present in the bacilli. The antigen from the bacilli is then injected and seen in the patient whether there is good reaction or not. At 48 hours early or Fernandez reaction it is there, that is induration of more than 10 mm produced at the site, indicates past exposure to lepra bacilli. And at 21 days, that is a Mitsuda reaction, a nodule more than 5 mm size is formed at the site of the inoculation. If positive, that is if the nodule is present, indicates that the patient's CMI is intact and it is good prognosis. But if negative, then indicates the poor prognosis. Okay. So it indicates the delayed hypersensitivity reaction against the lepra antigen and it is like a tuberculin test only, this lepromine test. Okay. So there are two times when the test is being detected, that is at 48 hours, that is the early reaction, and that for 21 days, that is the late reaction. Okay. And it indicates whether the cell mediated immunity of the patient is intact or not. If it is intact, then it means there is a good prognosis or chance of recovery from the leprosy. If it is not intact, then that means the prognosis is bad. So there are many ways to control leprosy in community. There are the medical measures, social support, program management and evaluation. So medical management, I think you know the treatment. Okay, we will see there is a multi-drug therapy of the leprosy in India. Okay, the Indian government has this paucibacillary and the multibacillary leprosy therapy. Previously it used to be different. Previously for the paucibacillary leprosy and the multibacillary leprosy, it used to be different doses of treatment of the drugs. But now they are made similar. Like from the last 2023, I think it has been made similar. So what is there for the adults? The duration of the treatment is 6 months. Okay. Dapsone is given 100 milligram daily. Clofazimine is 300 milligram once a month and then 50 milligram daily, and rifampicin 600 milligram once a month. Okay. So this whole thing comes in a blister pack. A monthly dose of every drug comes in a blister pack. So in that blister pack there is 1 tablet of Dapsone daily, there is 1 tablet of rifampicin in that blister pack. For 1 month blister pack there is 1 tablet of rifampicin, okay. There is 30 tablets of Dapsone, okay, and clofazimine there is 1 300 milligram tablet and then 50 milligram tablets, okay. So it is like that in a blister pack. This is for the adults, and for children again 6 months, but the dose is lessened. Dapsone is 50 milligram, clofazimine is 150 milligram once a month and 50 milligram alternate day, and rifampicin is 450 milligram once a month. So this is the adult and the child dose, and same is for the multibacillary. So both the types of leprosy have been given the similar treatment. Okay. So now a defaulter who returns to the health center for treatment, okay, that is someone who has not completed the treatment and then is returning with again these signs and symptoms of leprosy for the new course of MDT. They have to show the following signs: reddish or raised skin lesions, appearance of new skin lesions, new nerve involvement, lepromatous nodules, or any lepra reactions. Okay. So this multi-drug therapy is then again started in those patients as well, and it is not contraindicated in pregnancy or patients with HIV infection. So this leprosy treatment can be given to any patient. Okay. Now there is mention of the lepra reactions, that is sign of reversal reaction, that is what is the type 1 or the erythematous nodosum leprosum, ENL, type 2 reaction. So these lepra reactions are also can be there in the patient from the disease. What is that? This is how the disease manifests. It can be delayed hypersensitivity in the patient, okay, and occurs in all cases. What happens is the nerves close to the skin are enlarged, so lumps or nodules are formed, okay. Tender and painful neuritis with loss of its functions, that is the type 1 reaction of lepra reaction, okay. Nerves close to the skin may be enlarged, tender and painful, but organs are not affected. General symptoms are not that much common. Mainly neuritis is occurring. The nerves are being affected in the lepra reaction type 1. In the type 2, erythema nodosum leprosum, what happens is there are red, painful, tender subcutaneous nodules. So there are many subcutaneous nodules which are red, tender and painful in the skin, and they appear in crops and subside within few days without treatment. Okay. So nerves may be affected but not common or severe as acute in type 1. So here the nerves are not that much affected, but skin is affected and other organs are affected in the type 2 reaction. So it is a more disseminated form of lepra reaction in the type 2, but if the nerve is mainly affected, then it is type 1 lepra reaction. It is usually, it can occur due to after starting of treatment, this thing can adverse reaction can also occur in these forms, the lepra type 1 or lepra type 2. That is, the bacilli are now breaking down, the immune function is generated in the body, and it can cause these types of reactions as well. So how to treat this lepra reaction? You give the steroid, because there is a surge of activity, you suppress that with steroid immunosuppressant, okay. So it is given by analgesics prednisolone. So this prednisolone regimen is given to the this lepra reaction, okay. So it is there in your book, I am not going into details for this. Finally, there is, after the medical management, there is the surveillance of the clinical surveillance, that is paucibacillary leprosy. When to examine the patient? They have to be examined at least once a year, okay. After taking the treatment for 6 months, they have to be examined clinically at least once a year for a minimum of 2 years after completion, and multibacillary leprosy till 5 years after completion. Annually, the patient has to be checked whether there is any resurgence of any signs and symptoms of leprosy even after treatment. A patient who has completed the required period of surveillance following the course is considered to have completed the surveillance. So this after the treatment phase, the surveillance phase starts and the patient has to undergo all these annual tests and complete the surveillance period after the drug therapy. Then there is a community based rehabilitation by WHO, that is because so many bodily functions are affected, so the patient have to be rehabilitated after the treatment. Okay. They require planned systemic actions, medical, surgical, social, educational, vocational. So all this rehabilitation needs to be done over the years for any particular vocational skill or treatment or reintegration in the society, because those patients are usually stigmatized, so they have to be reintegrated into the society after they are cured. Okay, for this purpose, coordinated efforts by departments of health, education and social welfare as well as voluntary organizations are necessary. So there are many voluntary organizations in India that help with the rehabilitation of the leprosy patients. There can be awareness, spread of awareness about leprosy by health education. There is social support and evaluation of the program by the epidemiological indicators. So now we are coming into the program. Now we have seen overall management, how to manage a leprosy patient by giving that drug therapy. Okay. Now we will go into the program. This is the logo of the program. Just note it. Okay. This question can come in your exam. Identify this logo. It's a very famous logo. So NLEP. Okay. So NLEP, National Leprosy Eradication Program. It is not elimination like TB, it is eradication. National Leprosy Eradication Program, NLEP. So in 2005 what happened is India achieved Health Policy 2002 goal, that is elimination of leprosy as a public health problem, defined as less than 1 case per 10,000 population at the national level. This is for the incidence. That is, new case is happening less than 1 per 10,000 population. So that is why the leprosy has been declared as eliminated. However, new cases keep occurring and the prevalence is still there. The patients who have been affected by leprosy are still having this bodily dysfunctions. They are being rehabilitated still. So that is why this disease is now managed under the NLEP, the National Leprosy Eradication Program, mainly for the disability prevention and medical rehabilitation. This is a very important part of this program, because now the patients who have been disabled by leprosy, that prevalence has increased. So that is why this disability prevention medical rehabilitation, that is being more focused on in the NLEP, rather than treatment. Patients who are coming, rather than treating is going on, but after that the DPMR component is being focused even more. Okay, rather than the prevention. Prevention is there because the elimination has been there, so chain of transmission is broken. It is not spread that much anymore. People who are aware of themselves, and because of rising state of hygiene, the leprosy is now decreased. The contraction of leprosy, the chance has been decreased, but there is still the problem of disability. Okay, so all this care is now given at all the tiers, that is primary level, at the secondary level and tertiary level in NLEP from 1983. Okay, from 1983 this eradication program has been going on. So what are the services under NLEP? Before, around 10 to 15 years before, what happened is, the objective was elimination of leprosy, prevalence of less than 1 case per 10,000 population in all districts of the country. So the objective was to eliminate the leprosy or the prevalence of less than 1 case. So the prevalence decrease is also being given as an objective in the NLEP. And disability prevention, rehabilitation of person affected by the leprosy, and reduction in the level of stigma. So reduction in prevalence, okay, then disability prevention, medical rehabilitation, and third is the elimination of stigma as well. And what are the strategies to help achieve that objective? Integrated leprosy services, medical management, social management, etc. Early detection and complete treatment. How to detect a leprosy case early than before the full signs and symptoms take place. Household contact survey. Okay, whoever is having the leprosy, their household contacts, the survey or testing of them should be done. Involvement of ASHA and strengthening the DPMR component of the program, the Disability Prevention Medical Rehabilitation Program. So, all these strategies have been adopted in this NLEP from the phase 2012-2017. Now, what are the current strategies? That prevalence has also decreased by 2017-2018 and the prevalence is also decreased, okay, but it has not reached yet the level that is desirable. So, the leprosy screening should be there. Now, what are the current strategies on top of the previous strategies? Additional to the previous strategies, the current strategies are leprosy screening integrated with RBSK and RKSK. What is RBSK and RKSK? Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram, Rashtriya Kishor Swasthya Karyakram. Means the this whole integrated or comprehensive program to detect any diseases between in the children and the adolescents. Okay, the RBSK, Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram, means for the children, and Rashtriya Kishor Swasthya Karyakram means for the adolescents. So, for the children and the adolescents, already the comprehensive medical screening was there. So, this leprosy got integrated in each of those components so that the leprosy screening is also done, and this RBSK, RKSK, this happened in government schools. So, the mobile medical unit go to these government schools and then screen them periodically with for the diseases that are notified under them. So, leprosy screening is integrated for screening of children less than 18 years and with health and wellness centers for adults more than 30 years. So, in health and wellness centers even nowadays, the screening of leprosy is going on. Treatment is not given there, but the screening of leprosy is going on at the health and wellness centers as well in the adults. Contact tracing is done and post-exposure prophylaxis given to eligible contacts of index case. So, contact tracing, who are the contacts, and giving them post-exposure prophylaxis of this disease as well. Then reaction management, provision of macrocellular rubber footwear, aids, self-care kits as part of DPMR. So, as part of the disability prevention medical rehabilitation, certain aids are given to the patients of leprosy. Okay, those have already contracted leprosy, they are being given this footwear, okay, they are being given aids and they have been given reaction management, means anything that is helping them rehabilitation in the society. So, that is given as a part of DPMR. And there is the reconstructive surgery, RCS centers. Reconstructive surgery is needed for these patients who are having this nerve dysfunction or muscle dysfunction. Okay, that is their bodily function has been hampered or they are disabled. So, in them the reconstructive surgeries are conducted at district and medical colleges or central leprosy institutes, and the welfare allowance of 12,000 is paid to each patient undergoing this reconstructive surgery. So, these are the services that are being provided to the patients under leprosy. Okay, the screening, right, the DPMR, the contact tracing and post-exposure prophylaxis, and the reconstructive surgery along with welfare. Now, this National Strategic Plan and Roadmap for Leprosy has been given in 2023. Okay, National Strategic Plan and Roadmap for Leprosy, that is now where the leprosy disease, now where it will be taken to. Now, what are the goals, aims and objectives to achieve this eradication of leprosy in India? There are 5 pillars, as you can see. 5 strategic pillars to attain this leprosy eradication. Number 1, strengthen leadership's commitment partnership. Okay, this is just leadership and strengthening the infrastructure, strengthening the institutions, leprosy institutions, the screening part, the rehabilitation part, strengthening of each system. Number 2, accelerate case detection, that is early screening. Okay, early screening is required at all levels. Okay, from the health and wellness center till the tertiary level. There should be screening at all places. Even integration with the RKSK, so that in the schools the children can be detected. Even in ICDS center, Anganwadi, there can also be this screening to detect the leprosy cases as soon as possible. Then pillar 3 is quality services. All types of drugs that are available, they should be of quality material, and that is then available from the drugs from the center free of charge, health center free of charge. Pillar 4 is prevention of disease, disability, stigma, discrimination and violation of human rights. So anyone who has this bodily dysfunction, this disability, okay, because leprosy patients are, they have been stigmatized or tabooed against because it is believed that touching them will mean your death, okay, ostracization from society, because the disease is very infectious. That is why this prevention of disease, disability, stigma component is also a very important pillar in this roadmap. So that the patients are not stigmatized against, because now there is a cure. The leprosy can be cured. And pillar 5 is digitalization, NICOST 2.0. NICOST 2.0, like NICSHA is there for the TB, there is a NICOST for the leprosy, this digital portal, okay, and digital reporting and drug management. Like NICSHA, the NICOST is also managing the whole profile for each patient of leprosy in India. And year 2023 there was acceleration, the strategy in acceleration. Then 2025 sustained momentum with surveillance. 2026 the continuous efforts and targeted intervention for interruption of transmission, and 2027 move towards zero leprosy. So this is the ultimate goal for the program, the NSP. That is by 2027 the leprosy should be eradicated, that is zero case or near zero prevalence. Okay, so this is the program that is going and the strategies that are undertaken by the NLEP, the National Leprosy Eradication Program. Finally, there are some ILEP agencies, like the agencies which help in the detection and treatment and the rehabilitation of these patients. Okay, they include the non-profit organizations as well. So the International Federation of Anti-Leprosy Associations actively involved as a partner in NLEP. So apart from the government program NLEP, that is supported by many other organizations as well. So in India, ILEP is constituted by 10 agencies: Leprosy Mission, Damien Foundation of India Trust, Netherlands Leprosy Relief, German Leprosy Relief Association, Lepra India, ALES, AIFO, Fontiles India, AER of India and American Leprosy Mission. So all these agencies are also supporting the NLEP, and it is supporting in the form of planning, monitoring and supervision of the program. So these bodies, what they do, they are surveilling, monitoring the programmatic management, the patients who are managed under them, etc. Capacity building, that is they are training the staff, training the healthcare workers how to detect leprosy in the community, how to detect the disease, what to do in case of a disease, what drugs they should take, how to manage the case in the community. They are also training those healthcare workers. IAC, providing IAC means information, education, communication materials, that is spreading awareness. Providing reconstructive surgery services and socio-economic rehabilitation, that is to rehabilitate the patients in the society affected with leprosy. So they are managing their supporting NLEP from the screening process till the rehabilitation process, through every process, and continuous monitoring and surveillance of this program. 36 NGOs conducting the reconstructive surgeries for disability correction in leprosy affected person are also supported by this ILEP agency. Okay, so NGOs are also involved in this ILEP, that is the other agencies which are supporting the National Leprosy Eradication Program. Okay, so it is working, the whole program is working because of the work of many organizations. Okay, their efforts are being managed together to make this disease towards a eradication. Okay, so now apart from TB, this leprosy is also a very important disease in India, because the prevalence is still a little bit high and it has to be reduced to near zero by DPMR. Mainly you have to remember the disability prevention, medical rehabilitation is the most important component apart from treatment. Okay. Okay, thank you.